Welcome to the next episode of Feltovich Fit, Hip Mobility. If you don't want to hear me talk and you just want to start training, feel free to skip to the time below. It's been a while since I've done a video for several reasons. Most notably is that I recently relocated to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so I'm available for teaching and seminars in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you are interested, feel free to hit me up. If you saw my video, the Standing Dynamic Mobility series, and you've been doing those exercises, then congratulations. You're probably already on your way to good hip mobility and good hip health. In these next 4 videos, we're going to do a deeper dive into specific joints, starting with the hip. The reason I started with the Standing Dynamic Mobility series is because in many ways, those exercises represent the lowest common denominator. It doesn't require you to go to the ground because not everybody can go to the ground. It doesn't require any special equipment, and the movements are pretty basic. Most anybody can do them or some variation of them. Here, we are going to go to the ground. There will be some special equipment involved, and they do represent, in some cases, more advanced movement patterns. But again, most everybody should be able to do some variation of the exercises that I will present today. The inspiration for these exercises comes from several sources, most notably John Engham's Flexible Steel series. I link to his DVDs in his book below. I encourage you to train with him any chance you get, or better yet, attend one of his instructor certification seminars. Also, the inspiration for these exercises came from Dr. Grove Higgins' Cadavers in Motion. If you're a strength coach or a fitness professional, I strongly encourage you to do cadaver work whenever possible. Anatomy books are great. I have several of them, several of which I link to below, but there is no substitute for cadavers, seeing what the actual joints and the muscles and the tissues look like. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first exercise we're going to talk about is the squat. When most people think about squats, they think about it as a strength exercise. However, if you're doing it properly, it's also an excellent mobility exercise too. In pre-industrial societies, people squat several times a day. It's a very natural movement, a very primal movement. However, because of sitting and because of other issues, unfortunately, people don't do this movement, and hence they lose the accompanying mobility. First, I want to cover the 3 most important teaching points with the squat: foot position, knees track the toes, and neutral spine. Let's start with foot position. To determine the optimal foot position for the squat, the easiest thing to do is to simply do a vertical jump wherever your feet naturally land. That's probably a good starting position. Second, knees track the toes. What I mean by that is you want to make sure that the knees remain over the toes through the duration of the movement. A common problem is knee buckle, the knees going inside like so. If you find yourself doing that, or if your client's doing that, what you have to do is you have to either consciously push your knees out or tell your clients to push their knees out. A good cue is to pretend that you're trying to rip the carpet apart with your feet. Third, neutral spine. What do I mean by that? If you had an imaginary broomstick or a literal broomstick, as it were, pretend that you're maintaining 3 points of contact with that broomstick throughout the duration of the movement. Those 3 points of contact are the tailbone, between the shoulder blades, and the back of the head. When you do those, you might find that you're not going super deep with your squat. Who cares? There's no prize for how low you go with the squat. Only go as low as you can go, pain-free, while maintaining good form. Next, we're going to do Malasana, sometimes called the Yogi squat, and then the Goblet squat. Yogi squat, Malasana. In order to do that, you're going to squat as before, except at the bottom, you're going to hang out, put your hands in prayer position, and then gently pry the knees apart while pulling the hips forward and trying to reach that crown of the head towards the ceiling. From there, you can vary the foot position, you can rock back and forth, you can gently, and I do mean gently, roll the feet inside and outside, as long as there's no pain in the knees or the hips. And then, when you're ready, return to the neutral position, and then exhale in order to brace the spine, and return to standing. Next, we're going to do a goblet squat. We're going to move through this exercise pretty quickly because it's basically the same exercise as before, except now we're adding a kettlebell. In this case, I've got an 18 kilogram strong first kettlebell. The first thing you're going to have to do is to pick it up safely. You have a couple ways to do that. One is you can basically deadlift it into place. The other is you can swing it into place, so get into your good swing position. Setup is important. And then set it down. In Feltovich fit, we always pick up and set down our weight safely. I don't care if it's a golf tee, I don't care if it's your max deadlift. Pick it up and set it down safely, and that way you'll avoid unnecessary injuries in your training. So again, we're gonna pick it up safely, and then we're gonna squat as before, and then pretty much everything's the same. You're using your elbows to gently pry your knees apart. You're rocking side to side, rolling the feet inside and out, as long as there's no pain in the knees or the hips. The only difference is that now obviously we have a weight, and that's going to do two things. One is the extra weight is going to accentuate the stretch, and also we can curl the weight like so. Note that this is not a biceps exercise. The purpose of curling the weight like so is that it's going to slightly change the center of mass and target different areas of the hip to stretch. When you're ready, return to the neutral position, exhale to brace the spine, return to standing, and then again, set down the weight safely. Next, we're gonna do 90-90. The name for this exercise comes from the fact that you are starting and ending the exercise with both legs at 90-degree angles. To start the exercise, you're gonna get in the 90-90 position, sitting as upright as possible, and then while maintaining the feet where they are, you're going to breathe throughout your rib cage and rotate until you're 90-90 on the other side. If you have to adjust your feet throughout the exercise to get back to that 90-90 position, feel free to do so, but try to maintain the feet where they are, so that way the movement is coming from the hips. Breathe, keep the torso upright, maintain the feet in their place. And that, folks, is 90-90. Next, we're gonna do can opener. If you've ever done yoga before, this position might look familiar. It's the frog pose from yoga. This will be the starting position for can opener. To get in the frog position, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have your knees on the ground. You're going to have your shins parallel to your torso, and your feet will be perpendicular to your torso, lying flat on the ground. You wanna maintain a neutral spine throughout the duration of the exercise. So remember the broomstick test. Pretend that there is an imaginary broomstick on your back, and you're maintaining those 3 points of contact throughout the duration of the exercise. In order to do can opener, you're gonna come down to your elbows, and then what you're going to do is you're going to sink the hip forward, and you're going to internally rotate the femur. Common mistake is that people will rotate the spine in order to get their hip closer to the ground. The problem with that is that this is a hip mobility exercise, so we want the movement to be coming from the hip and not the spine. So maintain those hips parallel to the ground throughout the duration of the exercise. Again, one more time. Sink forward, internally rotate the femur, sink your hips back towards your butt, then alternate other side, sink the hip forward, internally rotate the femur. That, my friends, is can opener. The next exercise that we're going to do is switch splits. In order to do switch splits, you're going to need two things. The first is a sturdy object that will support your body weight and won't slide around. In this case, I've got a quality Martha Stewart Kmart chair, made of sturdy steel. It's not going to slide and it will support my body weight. Second thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a surface that will allow your feet to move, that will allow your feet to slide easily. In this case, I've got socks on my feet on a carpeted floor, so my feet will slide easily. Then, to do switch splits, like the name implies, you're going from front splits to side splits to front splits, alternating back and forth, sinking a little deeper each time. I should put the splits and switch splits in air quotations. If you're like me, obviously you won't get all the way down into the splits. Who cares? Like I said before, there's no prize in it for how deep you go. The point is to go as deep as you can comfortably go pain-free. The last exercise that we're going to do is ninja. Before we progress to ninja, we're going to start off by doing a basic side lunge. Do a side lunge. You're starting from a neutral standing position. You're stepping laterally, like so. A couple teaching points to remember with the side lunge is one, as with the squat, you're making sure that the knees are tracking over the toes, so negative demonstration, your knee's not buckling in or out, your knee is tracking the toes. Second, you're making sure that the knee doesn't extend past the toes, so negative demonstration, this would be going too far, you're breaking the plane of your toes, you're putting undue stress on your knee. So remember, knees track the toes, knees don't go over the toes. That's your basic side lunge. If you're comfortable doing that, then go ahead, get in the side lunge position, and then what you're going to do is you're going to rotate the foot of the non-lunging leg towards the ceiling, and then you're sinking back and forth. Cover. If you're staying low like that, in addition to a great hip mobility exercise, it's also a deceptively challenging strengthening exercise. So if you do a few reps of that, you will likely feel the burn in your legs. Thank you for another great episode of Feltovich Fit. I really enjoy working with you. Before we go, make sure you hit that bell icon at the top. Also hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments or things you'd like to see more of in the future, make sure that you leave those in the comments section below. Until the next time, thanks again. It's great to be back and doing videos with you.